Live from the closet in Joey's apartment, it's RetroActive.
Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I guess this is it. This is our first episode of our podcast, RetroActive.
First episode ever.
So how about you introduce yourself?
Oh, well,
Will Chang.
my name is Will, and I like video games, I must confess.
And over here, my name's Joey, and I also like video games.
Really? I would have never guessed, being the co-host of a podcast about video games that you would like.
It is true.
Yeah, so we are two friends who have known each other for quite a while now, and mainly through video games and because of video games. So
it's the reason why we know each other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not because we enjoy each other's company or like each other's personalities, but we
speak
play
for
video games
yourself.
together.
Speak for yourself. I enjoy your company very much. So, but yeah, that's we figured we might as well do something not only with our college degrees in film and digital media, but also our passion for video games, and that's why we are here.
I guess it's a good way, being stuck in a closet after 5 years in college and another 5 years of doing menial jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough about this.
Yeah.
So games.
So games. Yeah.
So I guess we could just start off with the simplest thing that we can talk about. What did you do this week?
What did I do this week?
Or what have you been paying attention to begin with?
Paying attention to? Well, not really a whole lot. News-wise, there hasn't been a whole lot about games. I've still been trying to catch up with my backlog from last year and belong and beyond.
Okay,
so.
you have that's the thing. I don't. You have a backlog in which you check off. How long has it been going on for?
Oh, dude, my backlog is huge. I keep track of all the games that I play through the year and I beat. I have a backloggery account if you're interested in checking it out. But yeah, I try to
send us the link later.
Backloggery.com/sin0, but whatever. But yeah, I try to set a goal for myself every year of okay, well, for example, this year I want to beat 12 of the games in my collection,
mm-hmm.
which doesn't sound like a lot, really.
No, trust me, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I am pretty notorious for never beating games.
Mm-hmm.
If I could be completely honest, I've never beaten a single Zelda game in my life. The closest I ever gotten was probably Link's Awakening when I was 10.
Well, that was a good one. If you're
and
gonna beat
the only reason why I didn't finish it is because I had to give it back to my friend who I borrowed it from.
Yeah.
But Ocarina of Time never beat, Wind Waker never beat, Twilight Princess never beat, Skyward Sword never beat,
it's okay.
Link to the Past I never beat, Oracle of Ages and Seasons I got really far, but then
one of these days I'm just gonna probably snag your copy of Link to the Past, the cartridge, and just take it home and beat it before you even notice it's gone.
Just go through it, save it at the last boss, and then give it back to me. I probably will still never get to it.
Live from the closet in Joey's apartment, it's Retro. That's the thing. Nowadays it's hard enough to find time to really sit down and play through an entire game, let alone beat 12 of them in a whole year. But
if you're talking about long games, here's something that's in the news today since we're on topic. The Witness.
Oh, yes.
It just came out this week, and it's Jonathan Blow.
Jonathan Blow, yeah. The guy who made Braid, I think, right?
He made Braid, and he spent the last, 8 years making this game?
Yeah, it's been such a long time.
He took the money that he got from Braid and made a team of maybe 8 people,
mm-hmm.
and they worked nonstop. He put all of his money from there into here. And it looks incredible.
Yeah, I really want to get it. It was funny though too, because so they announced it's a digital only game. I think, right? There's no retail release, but $40 for a digital game. That's
okay. That's fine. That's fine with me. You know why?
Not that I'm not gonna not pay that money for it, but wow.
Well, I think people just are spoiled with Steam sales these days.
True.
But the reason why it's $40 is because it's 100 hours worth of puzzles.
Oh.
So if you like puzzles, and I think there were about 500 of them
mm-hmm.
in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It takes you about 100 hours to get through, and every single puzzle is different.
Right.
Like it's constantly changing, always like trying to get your brain doing jumping jacks and cartwheels and all that.
Yeah, and for that much content, I mean, really, it's like you pay what $60 for a game sometimes that you'll spend like
10 hours.
10 hours on. Yeah.
Yeah, but you get to shoot people in those 10 hours.
Yeah. Well,
Here,
that's true.
Solving puzzles. Who wants to do that for 100 hours?
Well, you could play Fallout 4 and shoot people for 100 hours. That's what I've been playing since last year.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the game I've spent the most time on actually in like recent months is like Fallout 4.
Fallout? Well,
yeah, since it
you
came
and
out.
millions of others. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. But I mean, still, it's like I don't know. It's like it's one of those games where it's like I was waiting for it all year, and it finally came out. And I took a day off of work like the day after it came out, just
You're
to
one of those
stay home and
people.
play. Oh, of course, dude, man. When Grand Theft Auto 5
sorry,
came
boss,
out.
I'm sick. Oh,
Oh no, that day was marked on my calendar to take off like for probably close to 3 months.
I thought you were gonna say 3 years.
Oh God, no. They only announced it like last year for
Right.
E3. But I mean, I'm surprised. Like I was looking on the news too recently, and it's like I mean, there obviously for those of you who have played Fallout 4, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who kind of like were really hyped up about it too. That was probably the most hyped game of
Yeah, it was.
2015. And honestly, I think a lot of people are kind of disappointed with it, like in the
Really?
long run. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, as a Fallout game, it's not the best Fallout game. There's a lot. It's a lot simpler than some of the old ones, even than Fallout 3. The one that came before it. I mean, it's a lot simpler, a lot more dumbed down, more focused on like shooting and killing things.
But isn't that why people liked it? Or
No.
that's what people were hyped about. Like in all the previews I saw, that people were like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be the best!" It's just like a guy in a power suit jumping and like firing off like a huge nuke, and people are like, "Yes,
Yeah,
this is what I've wanted."
that's true. It's like the power armor is like definitely been like one of the key elements of Fallout. But I mean, the way even the way they do that in the game is like a little bit kind of disappointing. I mean, you get a suit of armor really early on. I mean, you played a little
we
bit.
spent like an hour in there, and
Yeah.
I got it within like 5 minutes. I was
Exactly.
like, okay.
But that's also the thing is it's like it uses a like a consumable resource that is very rare in the game, so it makes it like it's a classic car that you fixed up. You don't want to drive it around all day and let it get all that wear and tear. You just want to take it out on a really nice Sunday to impress like a girl you like or something. Wear your power armor out there and just start like mowing death claws left and right. But yeah.
That's how I like to impress the ladies.
Yep.
Hey, baby.
You want to check out my power armor, baby? Yeah, so not quite as well received though as I thought it would be. Not like that other game, The Witcher 3. Did you see that? It was actually
I haven't.
You haven't?
Yeah.
Really?
Guess how far I got in it?
Let me guess. You played like probably half an hour in it.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 40 minutes, because I went back to it after 5 months after I bought it.
Yeah.
But it's a game of the year.
Yeah.
It is the game of the year according to multiple publications.
Yep. I think it's like on what is it, the Video Game Awards?
Video Game Awards and whatever other publication you
Yeah,
can
like
talk about.
Kotaku, PlayStation.
All the blogs, all the game shows
Mhm.
that you see on Spike or whatever the hell,
whatever it's on now.
whatever channel they like to put those on.
I mean,
I can hear from our voices that we have any interest in it.
I mean,
right?
It's like that's the thing. I'm very big on those kind of open world RPGs. I love Fallout. I mean, I played quite a bit of Skyrim and Oblivion earlier on, but I never really got through a lot of it because let's be honest, those games are gigantic. They're huge, and The Witcher, especially because it's the third game in the series. It's like just the idea of like going back to the first one, because I'm one of those completionists that like likes to play.
Yeah, you want to
through all
know
of them.
what the story is before, like what that I guess that would make it why it's so good, because of this continuing storyline with, I don't even know what's
Yeah,
his
like
name.
Geralt or something like
Geralt of wherever haberdashery. He's like there's a whole backstory to him, and I guess it makes the third one even more complete.
that. Yeah.
But
Much like Mass Effect and those story-driven like trilogies that really kind of draw you into its world and its characters and makes you feel like this is like my character and I've been with him since the beginning.
yeah, but the thing is that it's like the first two didn't really have, as much acclaim as this one.
Mm-hmm.
And is the third one so great and so widely appreciated because of the first two?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question for you.
Oh, dude, I don't even know. I've never played a single Witcher game. I have to confess. Like,
that's fine. I feel like people didn't really play the first two because honestly, I didn't really hear much about them until the third one.
yeah, no, exactly. It's like when I heard about this third game that it's coming out, I'm like, where? Like, is this the third game? Where is the first game?
Yeah,
Where is the
it's
second
like,
game?
The Witch. Are you sure it's not something you look through your notes and just like, where did this come from?
Yeah, it's just like this just is probably some PC game I've never really heard of. Like most of those games on Steam, or I don't know. I mean, I feel like, and that's the funny thing when I look at, I mean, going back to like Game of the Year awards and stuff like that, it's like looking at the list of games that took home a lot of these awards. I mean, it's funny. I haven't played most of them. Like I didn't play The Witcher 3. I didn't play like whatever the newest Call of Duty is. I never play any of those games.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
But yeah, Modern Warfare 3, I think it is now. It's like, honestly, I didn't play Rocket League either, as much as that was like a huge game.
Yeah, it was
2015.
It was big mostly along the competitive scene.
Right.
Because people got super into it. It's a very simple game.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it so good is that you can build the game around the community as opposed to what you have to offer. Not to say that they don't have a lot. Like, it's a good physics-driven game. It's good action, but
it's fun to watch.
a lot of the popularity came from watching other people play. I mean, it's soccer. It's soccer with radio-controlled cars. Soccer is the biggest sport in the world, and if you put that in a video game, then it just has mass appeal.
It's a million seller right there. Worldwide, probably, just like the FIFA games. Yeah,
FIFA, also known as
FIFA?
Football, also known, but really known as soccer.
At least to us Americans here,
Yanks here,
us Yanks. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, even Metal Gear Solid 5 and Bloodborne, like those are two pretty highly rated games.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Bloodborne.
It's like I haven't played any of these games.
Demon Souls 2, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne. I feel like all of those came out within a very short amount of time.
Yeah, really. I mean,
and now there's a Dark Souls 3 coming out. I'm like, wait, wasn't that just last year? But no, Bloodborne was last year, and Dark Souls was. Yeah, it's a really convoluted timeline.
It's hard to keep track.
Having trouble remembering.
Yeah, I think the only game that I did play that like got like any kind of award was Fallout 4, because I mean,
is that considered your game of the year?
I don't know. I was thinking about that. Like, a lot of games that I played last year, I mean, obviously because I have a huge backlog, a lot of them were older games. Like, some of the games that I played last year that I enjoyed the most were games that came out the year before it. Like, I think one of my favorite games that I played for the 3DS actually was Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds.
Oh, yeah. I didn't play that one either.
Oh, my God. But yeah,
I neither played it nor finished it.
Of course. You're forgiven. It's kind of a sequel to Link to the Past, so I mean, almost not even a sequel. It's like a spiritual successor.
It takes place in the same world, right?
Yeah, it's like the same kind of universe, but like generations later or something. But that was a really good game, and I also jumped back into Pokemon.
Which one?
Pokemon X.
X?
That was the one that I played. I just bought a DS, not that long ago, maybe like a little like in the end of 2014. And I was like, I want to get the new Pokemon. I want to see what it's about. I have not played since the original Pokemon Silver on the Game Boy. So there's a lot of
that's good, 10 years plus?
Yeah. There's a lot of additions in there, though, that I really thought were really cool and everything. And I enjoyed it. Yeah. But I mean, what about you? What did you play last year? What was your favorite game?
My favorite game was Splatoon.
Splatoon?
End of story right there. Mostly okay. Splatoon is... Oh, it's just, I could go on for a very long time about it, but it's just the most fun I've ever had playing any shooting game, any shooter, any third-person, action game for I don't even know how long.
Yeah, you were trying to get us all to play that.
I know, like, okay, all you guys have Wii U's. Here's Splatoon, and they're like, oh no, it's $60. Oh no, but
yeah,
I took the leap because I just had faith in it. It was something unique, and the fact that they were pushing it. Or Nintendo was really pushing it because it's new IP, and something that they want people to get into and play competitively for fun.
Yeah, which is different than what Nintendo usually. I feel it's different from the way they put games out.
Yeah, like Nintendo is big on their franchises.
Yeah,
like I feel like the only new franchise that's been around in like the last 15 years is maybe Pikmin and Chibi Robo. Maybe those are the only two that I can think of.
That sounds about right.
Since the GameCube era, they haven't had any really new ones. Like for the Wii U, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Someone help me.
No, like first party developed ones.
No,
certainly.
So Splatoon was a really big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And just playing it, it
looks fun.
It's so okay. It's just refreshing. That's all.
Yeah.
Because one, it's not like a brown and gray Space Marine shoot 'em up, whatever, and it has a different direction to go in. Like how you shoot paint.
Yeah.
No, you shoot ink. Sorry. Shoot ink, and then you cover the floors, and you try to get as much area as possible. Like that, it just makes a different perspective on the shooting genre.
Yeah, it's kind of a different. It reminds me a lot of like when we used to play GoldenEye back in the days, and you turn paintball mode on, and
okay, well yeah, that's just a distraction.
But you would
turn
like
paintball mode, DK mode. I don't know, golden guns on all the time. You just kill everyone in one hit, and then run around and spray paint their couches with paint.
It certainly is different though than just running around and like trying to kill everybody.
Yeah,
it's more
of
than
course
just
you
that.
do that, but it's just really satisfying. Like you have all different kinds of weapons, as well as like the paint rollers. I don't know if you saw that, but
I saw a little bit.
That's probably one of the most unique weapons in any shooter I've ever seen, because it's something that it's a melee weapon, but at the same time you have a goal with it. It's not just to run up to someone with a knife and try to stab them.
Right.
It's you
cover more like ground, like when you're using it, right?
Yeah.
Someday
I'm gonna go right now.
Someday I'll give it. No, we have to sit here and talk about more video games. Where are you going?
One thing I was most surprised about? It actually won Shooter of the Year.
Oh, did it really?
For I think it was the Game Awards.
Oh, okay.
So it won that over, what was it, Halo 5,
right?
Destiny.
Not surprising.
Maybe Battlefield or Call of Duty, one of them.
Right.
And then one other game. I'm sure there were 5.
Like Star Wars, maybe Battlefront.
Oh yeah, Battlefront.
Yeah.
So yeah, all those incredibly hyped games that all these young adults and preteens love.
Oh yeah.
To kill each other with, but nope. Splatoon.
Honestly, I think that's a really good sign in a way, that it's not it wasn't just another Halo game or not just another Call of Duty game that won those kind of awards.
Because for 10 years previous, it's one of those games that won Shooter of the Year every year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like it's almost become kind of formulaic. I really don't even watch like the awards, like not when they're on TV or anything, but I see the results and everything. But it's just, I don't know. Watching those kind of awards sometimes is just like, it almost feels just like a big kind of marketing.
Oh yeah, Game of the Year awards are terrible. I'll just say that right now. It's I have a huge problem with them.
Yeah.
Like the main problem that I have with these is that if you look at the nominees, even including Nintendo, but like all the nominees for almost every category are these games that have been pushed, by millions, multi-million-dollar companies pushing them out, advertising the hell out of it, and then those are the ones that get recognized the most. And it's because they're the biggest ones, like with the biggest audience.
Yeah,
it
kind of makes you wonder though too. It's like, are these games specifically like nominated for Game of the Year because they're so popular, or are they?
That's what I feel sometimes.
Yeah, or is it based on sales numbers? Because that's what I was like wondering before. I think I had wondered, well, how exactly is it determined that these are the games of the year? Is it determined strictly by sales numbers? Is it determined strictly by like fan votes or by?
Okay, well, I think a lot of the awards they're determined by people who work in the industry or work for like gaming blogs or. Okay, so there's the game blogs that have all their writers. They're the ones that have say for their own awards.
Like Kotaku's got their own,
and then there's
Polygon.
ones like the Golden Joysticks, Game Awards.
Right.
Spike had theirs a while ago, but
and
a lot of those are voted on by people who work in the industry.
Okay.
And I feel like that's one of the big problems with it, is that they're the ones that get to decide what goes into those games in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder what makes a game of the year worthy.
Right.
You know, because if you look at all those ones, they're the ones that have like these huge open worlds, these huge grand storylines, intense battle systems, and great graphics, and all these things you put together, and it's like it's just a package that you see every year almost.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at the last 10 years of Game of the Year awards, you kind of see like a huge trend almost. So let me read these out to you. This is for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Science, which is like the most well respected of all the awards organizations. And here it goes. Starting from 2005 up until last year, goes God of War, Gears of War, Uncharted, Little Big Planet, Uncharted 2, Mass Effect 2, Uncharted 3, Journey, The Last of Us, and then Dragon Age Inquisition. And then I think it was The Witcher 3 last year.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, I could definitely see that trend. Got a lot of like Naughty Dog games in there.
Yeah, and then here's Golden Joysticks. Starting from 2005.
Mm-hmm.
San Andreas, which, wow, that was 2005.
Man, that is 11 years old.
I feel like that's a lot older. But anyway,
yeah.
San Andreas, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Gears of War, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Fallout 3, Mass Effect 2, Portal, Skyrim, GTA 5, Dark Souls 2, and then The Witcher 3.
Wow, those were very different lists. Like, you know, at least in the first like handful of years there, that's very
I feel
different.
like the Academy of Interactive Arts and Science is basically all PlayStation games for some reason.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I've actually played most of these. I have most of these games.
But the thing is that if you look at them, they're also really, really similar.
Right.
In that, like, there's a very disturbing trend of the types of games that they consider the best of the year.
Yeah, and you notice too, there's not a whole lot of like, you know, what we would like, what's now like known as like indie games and stuff, you know, because the independent game scene has kind of gained a lot of traction.
Yeah. Indie games are huge now.
Yeah,
they're huge in the sense that they draw a lot of people to play them like organically.
Right.
You know, a lot of these indie games and studios, they don't have like the big budgets, but they have the ideas that can get people to play them and share them with others.
Yeah.
And like the award shows, they are kind of catering to that. They do have the best indie game award.
Yeah, they give it its own category.
Yeah, that's great for inclusion, but it's also terrible for not like it's terrible in the sense that they can't include all these great games in their Game of the Year like nominations.
Exactly. It's like when is the last time like really like an indie game was kind of included in that like top 5 games of the year?
Well,
I mean Journey is one.
Yeah,
I mean,
Journey was a big surprise, but then again, they're not like they're an indie game, but not like tiny. It was clear that they had a pretty big budget with Journey.
Exactly. It was completely backed by Sony and by PlayStation, and that was one of PlayStation's big, like the PS3's big games for that year too. I mean, that whole studio, that game studio that did Journey and Flower and all those games, they have like, I'm pretty sure they have an exclusive contract, or either an exclusive contract or they're owned by Sony in general. So they're still backed by a pretty big like publisher. That wasn't a game that was like had to rely on like crowdfunding or like had to rely on selling to a publisher like or anything like that.
They have it good.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But I mean, there's all these other ones that aren't really appreciated in the greater sense of, award shows.
Right.
Even though I don't like award shows to begin with, but the fact that they kind of push them to the side when they're talking about like the best game of the year.
Right.
And then including like best indie game, but they're kind of shortchanging the people that worked on these.
Mm-hmm. Becomes kind of a niche thing almost.
Yeah, it's like they're not letting them reach their full potential.
Yeah.
Like if you went up to someone and you presented them with a category, Game of the Year and Best Indie Game, which one do you think sounds more prestigious?
Yeah, game of the year.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But it's like then it's also it affects just the way that people think about those games. It's like you think about like the games that are game of the year. They're all those, like you said, those big budget AAA games.
Yeah.
And whereas the indie games, you're like, oh well, they're like smaller. They're like even smaller, independently published and produced. But they're also like the big thing is they're cheaper. So it's
Right.
like that, going back to what we talked about at the beginning about like, oh, well, it's like The Witness just came out. That's an independent game for the most part. And $40 is almost approaching like a full retail MSRP pricing.
Yeah.
So it's like going back to that and talking like, well, it's like, why does that initially strike me as something like, oh, I don't want to pay $40 for like an indie
Because
game?
yes, people.
Because it's been
It's
marginalized.
such like a weird cycle, you know, because people get so used to pay $60 for one of these big budget titles, and then indie games come out and they're huge and they're like $20 and under, and then they get used to paying that amount for those kinds of games. It's, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit of brainwashing people into thinking that I shouldn't have to pay more than $20 or $30 for a game that comes from this company, but I would
Right.
gladly pay $60 to play a game that comes from this company.
Right.
Like, I paid $60 for Splatoon. I have no problems with it. But if I'm presented with like maybe a different type of game
Yeah.
from a different, you know, unknown company almost, I would be less inclined to pay $60 for it.
Right. Like what if like back when Rocket League first came out, they asked for $60.
Okay, well maybe not. I don't think anyone would pay that for pay
Probably
$60
not.
for that.
Oh yeah, probably not. I mean, obviously, I don't.
I mean, you're
think-
getting into the territory
yeah.
where it's like there's a limit to how little content people are willing to pay for $60.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, you know, you can kind of even take that one step further too and talk about like DLC in that same sort of like
God,
category.
No, I would not like to talk about that right now.
Oh man, I've got so much to say
we'll
about
save that for another week.
Right. But yeah, I could definitely start to see like how that might become a problem in the industry long term, because I mean, there's been a lot of talk in recent years about like about the price of game development going up, like as we get these better graphics, as we get these longer development cycles to make like a really good AAA game. It's like how much money and how much time is like going to be, you know, considered like, you know, enough or too much, I guess.
The thing is that I don't consider AAA titles to have a very long development cycle,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you see an Assassin's Creed every year. You see a Modern Warfare or a Call of Duty every year. You see Uncharted. Well, okay, not Uncharted, but I mean,
Fourth one's coming out soon.
all these huge studios, they have the resources to pump games out every year, and
Right.
they do that so they can make money. But smaller games, those are the ones with the longer development cycles.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like The Witness took 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like No Man's Sky, which is one that I really am looking forward to.
Definitely.
That's taken at least 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of games that will, you know, they put so much work into it, and then they eventually get kind of, you know, pigeonholed into this indie game category.
Right. I mean, actually, man, some of these games, like I think I've backed 2 Kickstarter games that are like a couple of years ago that are still in development. I mean,
Kickstarter is a little bit
Yeah.
different because you never know what you're gonna get with that.
You really don't, and there's so many horror stories.
Reaching into a bag of bugs with 1 Twix in there, and you're like, maybe I might get it.
Oh, that's pleasing. Not a pleasing image, I guess.
But I think, okay, so one of the ways I have to fix this
Mm-hmm.
is that, so just like the Academy Awards, they pretty much took all the animated movies.
Right.
Like, okay, so before, I think it was 2000, they had no animated feature category.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the only animated movie to ever be nominated is, you probably know, is Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
That was the only one ever nominated for Best Picture, and it
Mhm.
lost to Silence of the Lambs, which I'm still bitter about.
Yeah.
But they decided, you know, for inclusion's sake, they wanted to bring more, you know, animated films into the spotlight, so they made a category for that.
Right.
And that's fine. But then for, I'd say, another 10 years after that, they never had another Best Picture animated film for Best Picture.
Yeah. And you could argue that like a lot of those films that have probably won Best Animated Picture and everything should be included at least in that.
Incredibles was
Yeah.
incredible. Oh yeah. But then what they did in 2010, I think, they increased the nominations for Best Picture from five films to 10, and in turn that brought a lot more animated films into the Best Picture nominations picture. You know,
Yeah.
it just what I'm kind of vouching for is inclusion, and I think that Game Awards can also benefit from the same thing.
Yeah.
Currently they only have 5 games as, you know, Game of the Year.
Much in the same way the Academy Awards did before that,
Yeah,
right?
so
Yeah.
I feel like they could. There's so many games that come out, like
True.
probably just as many games as there are movies, and I feel like they could afford to have 10 nominations for that.
Yeah, especially nowadays, like you said, with how many games come out like every year. I mean, it's just like the backlogs just keep getting bigger. I'm sure a lot of people can attest to that. And unlike movies too, a lot of games take a long time too. They're not just, you don't just sit there for an hour and then you're done. But yeah, I agree. I think it could benefit from having like a wider range too, and it also might bring about better quality games.
Mm-hmm.
By expanding the number of nominations and increasing the amount of slots there are, like to be considered game of the year, a developer can, even independent developers could probably spend a little extra time developing their game and really refining it, making it like the best they possibly can.
Yeah.
And put it out in hopes of like at least making like that top 10, because you got to imagine that, at least one of the merits of having these Game of the Year awards is to get your game like noticed and to get it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even if it's something like, it's like the Kotaku top 10 or the Polygon top 10 like games of the year and stuff, the fact that like you can have your game up there on that list and included in one of those categories, which now can be expanded to like from 5 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
It is a call for like more quality rather than just having like putting out your game.
That's not to say that studios don't go for quality as much.
Oh yeah, no.
I feel like it's the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
That the people who do get nominated every year, like the big studios, they're the ones that don't worry as much about quality because they know that they'll make it no matter what.
They've got that PR hype train to
and it's
to
the
back
smaller
them.
studios that work so hard and so tirelessly on these things, hoping that they'll get the same recognition, and that's bullshit. Like it's
Problems with the game industry. We don't work in it, unfortunately.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Probably not ever, but also not yet.
Well, hey, you never know who's listening in on this.
Please give us jobs.
Any job will do.
Oh, but I mean, that's what I got. That's all. Those are all the complaints that I have about it, and I feel like maybe we're just holding Game of the Year awards to a higher standard than we should be.
Probably.
Like if our favorite games don't get Game of the Year, so what? Like I don't care.
Yeah,
maybe I do care a little bit, but for the most part, I don't care.
I mean, it depends too, because it also, I guess, like, I mean, in a way too, it does change sometimes how you anticipate and look at games. Like, I mean, with the whole like quote unquote Game of the Year edition of games that come out, like when games are re-released.
Yeah, just wait for it to go on a Steam sale for $10 and include all the DLC.
Well, no, exactly. Like, I mean, one thing that I thought of too, like when it came to that, is like, well, for example, like I'm a very big fan of the Borderlands series. Like, I love Borderlands, like
Borderlands
1 and 2. 2 especially, that was so good.
2 is the best.
So good.
Pre-sequel is not so much.
Well, I have not even picked up the pre-sequel.
Really?
Yeah, because, and here's why. I'm waiting for a Game of the Year edition to come out.
Smart.
Yeah,
Smart move.
With all the DLC, because I mean, I have like the actually that's the way I got into Borderlands 1 to begin with. Like, I bought the Game of the Year edition because it was, I think, $10 on Amazon, brand new.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That's a good deal. The base game, all the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
were you looking to buy it previous to that at all?
Yeah. I mean,
like when it came out, were you like, oh, it's $60?
A cell-shaded FPS shooter that has RPG elements, sign me the fuck up. So sorry, but and then of course, yeah. I mean, when you and me and like our friend Leslie picked up Borderlands 2, that was some of the most fun I've had playing a first-person shooter, and that's like also saying it's also like after we had spent so many hours playing Team Fortress 2 and playing Left 4 Dead 2. I mean, just the fact that it had a story and RPG elements, it's like that's what drew me in. But
so you're saying that all these games that you're anticipating you'd rather wait for?
I mean, almost, just because I have so many games to play nowadays and so little time to play them that it almost behooves me to sit and wait. Like, first of all, from a financial standpoint, I would rather pay, if I'm going to pay like $40 to $60 for a game like that, I'd rather have the complete game where it comes with all the DLC on it already on the disc,
But don't you feel like you're missing out on the hype?
A little bit. I mean,
like, well, what would you rather do? Would you rather start playing it from the beginning and like kind of get used to it and go along with everyone else, like being happy about this game, or would you rather wait another 2 years till nobody's playing it anymore, and then you pick it up and you're just by yourself in this world?
You know what? I mean, that's how I also approach some of those games. It's like, I'm okay being in my own little world. One of the games I beat last year that I probably should have finished like half a decade ago was the first Portal game.
The first one?
The first one.
Holy crap.
I got back around to it, and I finished like the last couple of levels that I had to do. And, now I can run around saying, dudes, the cake is a lie. It's such a lie.
And nobody wants to hear you say any of this.
Yeah,
They're
because
like, go away, Will. It's 2 a.m.
Most people probably don't even really get that reference now because there's I don't know.
No, it's not that they don't get it. It's just that they're sick of it. They're sick of hearing about the cake.
Probably. But I mean, going back to that point, it's just like with some games, it's like it's just, I'm okay waiting. I'm okay not playing them. I mean, Fallout 4 was one of those ones that's like
Okay, well, why is it that Fallout 4 is not within that category?
I mean, because I was such a huge fan of like the third one in New Vegas, and to be honest, they did a really good job of hyping that game up. Mm-hmm. Like I would say that, I mean, talking about it at the beginning, it was one of the most hyped games of 2015.
Okay.
I would go out and I would say that pretty definitively, it was one of the most hyped games. And it was that hype that really drove, I think, me and probably a lot of other people to pick it up day one. Not only that, but also that Pip-Boy edition, I had to pre-order that because
I think it's pretty awesome, actually.
It is. Yeah, you've
as
tried it.
As long as you wear it while you're playing it.
Oh yeah.
If you just have it on the box, and you have your phone there, or if you just use your phone by itself, it's not as fun anymore.
I know, and or you could just give it to like somebody else, and it's almost like they're playing multiplayer with you. Like they can turn the radio on and off.
Changing my clothes while I'm walking.
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of it is definitely the hype and the amount of PR that these companies put out for it, and that really kind of drive that want to get it day one. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing we could talk about too, is just like the idea of like pre-order bonuses and day one editions and all that. So I'm not going to get into that, but really it's like, I mean, for a lot of these other games too, it's just like, I can wait.
Let's wait.
Are
we done waiting?
Yeah, I think we're done waiting.
Okay, so we're gonna end this. We're gonna cap off the inaugural episode of our podcast with
first episode.
Yeah,
of many.
We made it through. This is our final round.
Our final round.
So we're gonna have
a fight. Are we gonna fight?
We're not gonna. Well, maybe later.
Oh, okay.
So, Will, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to?
Or not? What have you been up to? What will you be up to?
What will I be up to? Well, I mean, I've been doing a lot of reading, actually I've been playing.
Nerd.
I read a lot of books.
Said the guy who's doing a video game podcast in his closet.
Right. I mean, I read a lot, and I also I actually been playing quite a bit of my DS recently. Like I picked up my 3DS, and I've been playing a lot of older games that I haven't gotten around to. Like I've wanted to finish some lengthy RPGs that I've had, so. I've actually been playing Final Fantasy 3, like the actual Final Fantasy 3 that was remade for the DS a couple of years back. Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually, I got stuck at one part and I was like, screw it, I just want to beat this game. I'm going to look it up on GameFAQs and just to get past this one section. And since I got past that one section, I've actually been really hooked on that game. Like, it was one of the first Final Fantasy games that introduced the job system, from that was really, really popular in Final Fantasy Tactics in some of the later games. And I don't know, it's just like it's a very well done, even if it's a little archaic kind of game. I know you're not big on RPGs.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but exactly. I'm sure many of the listeners do.
Yeah,
they're the ones that care.
Yeah, but yeah, Final Fantasy 3 I've been playing a lot of recently. I also picked up a copy of The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the DS.
Oh yeah, that game.
It is very weird because how normally you would control it with the D-pad and with the buttons.
Is it all with
it's all with
touchscreen?
The freaking stylus. So you have to drag the stylus around to control, you're not even controlling Link, you're controlling his fairy, and his fairy is basically pointing him where to go.
So it's kind of like a leash. You're just dragging him around.
Exactly.
So does he kind of move like a circular pattern when you're moving the touchscreen?
Yeah, and then it's the way that you use his sword is that you swipe it across the screen or you tap the enemies and he'll just jump at them and slash.
Does the microphone do anything? Please tell me.
I think it does later on, like because it's a sequel to Wind Waker, so you're actually on a ship a lot of the times and sailing around.
So I control the sail with the
I'm pretty
with
sure
the
you
wind?
have to blow into the microphone to like activate the sail and go faster. But I
That
haven't
would
gotten
make
that
me
far.
play it if that's true.
Yeah, I could loan it to you. There's enough room for a second file on there,
Dude,
so
I
maybe you can finally beat a Zelda game if I loan it to you.
Maybe.
You have to
I
promise that you'll finish it if
No,
I do.
I can't promise that.
But,
I can't promise anything.
But anyway, I mean that I've been playing those games recently, and like I just finished the 3rd Game of Thrones book, so I'll probably like pick up the 4th one soon. But yeah, I mean, what about you, man? What are you looking at doing this week?
Oh man, I don't know. Might play some more Splatoon.
I was gonna ask.
I mean, I took a pretty long break. I don't know why, but I just decided to play other games for a while.
No one to play with.
Well, just plenty of like incredible Japanese people to play with in that game because they're so good. It's insane. Like they're all level 50 and they're all like so much better. And I'm trying to get back into it and they're just sniping me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm just
Sounds
gonna,
like
I'm just
every
gonna,
other competitive first-person shooter that
yeah,
we play.
Yes, but it's I don't know.
Headshot. Yeah, so that's it. No interesting movies or other media you've been checking out?
Checking out? Oh man, not this week. I mean, this is that time of the year where I'm just kind of just playing what I have.
Yeah.
You know, I got Cities Skylines a couple months ago, and I've already put a good 60 hours into that.
Damn.
I mean, that's just how I am with like city builders and simulation games. I'll play it until 3 a.m. if I need to.
Yeah.
I'm just rebuilding all of San Francisco in that game.
Oh yeah.
So that's fun.
Make the Salesforce Tower and everything yet?
Not Salesforce, but just putting a lot of pollution around. A lot of pollution, a lot of very expensive buildings downtown.
That sounds about right.
I can't control the homeless population, which I'm sad about.
Yeah, because otherwise it would be pretty high up there, right?
Yeah.
As everybody will soon learn when they come into town for Super Bowl 50, which is happening next weekend.
That's next weekend?
Yeah,
Oh,
Super
God.
Bowl 50.
I feel sorry for everyone who's coming into the city, who's trying to get to work, who's trying to go downtown, and all the homeless people who have to move out because they don't want to show that on TV.
Exactly. I feel sorry for the people that are coming to San Francisco thinking the Super Bowl is actually in San Francisco.
Yeah, they rent or
they're going to have to take the train to Santa Clara, which is actually like probably like an hour away.
It's 49 miles away.
Yeah, it's like an hour away by like Caltrain, so it's not even in the city.
Well, not our problem.
No, we don't care about the footballs.
But okay, other stuff. Gravity Falls is ending.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been following it?
I've had a coworker at my job that's been trying to get me into that for the past year, and I think I'm actually going to sit down and watch the first season of it. So that way, that's the thing. I never like to start a TV show when I know that it's still going on because I don't want to get to that point where I have to wait for all the episodes to come out.
That's the worst.
I would rather sit there and watch it from start to finish.
That's also the case that you're continuing to watch it. Like you get excited along with everyone else, anticipating the next time. And I think
true.
that's the most fun. That's why people watch Game of Thrones.
That's true.
The day it comes out or the day after.
The last time I did that though was Battlestar Galactica, and it's just like I would get so mad like having it end on a cliffhanger, only to be like, damn it, now I have to wait a week to know what goes on. So, never again.
Never again?
Well, maybe not never, but ugh.
Yeah, I'm sad that it's ending, but they're not getting canceled. It's a complete story, and like those shows are always the best. The ones that have something to say and then finish saying it.
Yeah, they can end it on their own terms rather than having the studio draw it out longer.
Yeah,
and then having to write like an ending to suit that.
I think that's a pretty good ending for here.
I think so too.
We're going to end this podcast on our own terms right now.
All right. So we will end it. But
So this has been first episode of RetroActive.
RetroActive. That might be different from the opening song, so maybe I'll try and...
It's the ending theme.
It's the ending theme.
All right, thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We'll probably be back next week or the week after that.
We will try to make this a regular occurrence, is what
hopefully.
we are saying in general. But if you are also interested in checking us out on the YouTubes,
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. That's probably the only thing that we're known for.
Only thing.
Okay. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.